Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day with the Traders. Thanks to Sportsbet, I'm Royo, Coach Destroy, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the Wardogs.
And Calvin.
Coach of Coordinator.
Righto.
Business time.
Business is right.
Yes.
This is about to go boom because we've got the AAMI Community Series coming up. So we thought we better check in just to help you, just so you know what to keep an eye on.
9 games.
9 games.
Real games.
Real footy.
Semi-real
Mostly.
games.
Yeah.
They've
Semi-real
got a
footy.
few extra players on the pine than they normally have, but none of this 8-quarter rubbish.
No 8 quarters.
Oh, let's stop the game here and have a ball up so we can try something else here. You know,
Wasn't that
none of
cute?
Anyway, none of that. This is mostly real, and what's mostly real about it is the fact that we do get to follow it very well. Hopefully, better camera angles is one thing that I'm looking forward to, but you'll be able to see this on your Fox Footy and your KO, and you'll be able to watch this with a full-blown broadcast, which is good because it does include, obviously, statistics.
Yes. I know.
Which
Sorry,
is
that
the
word.
most important part of it, because we had some epic people out there taking
And hats off to them too.
even if they're 90% accurate, that's still a win. Like you did
was a win.
bloody good job doing that. So now we get to see it, and I guess we did talk about the last podcast. If you haven't listened to that, go back and have a listen to that one now, because there's lots of intel as we look through each of the 9 match simulation games. So plenty to get out of that. But I guess what we see now is probably the teams might take it a little bit more seriously, as in, and what we mean by that, not, let's fight each other because it's a massive thing on the line here. It's no Wizard Loans Cup final or anything like that. But they will probably be playing closer to their best team and most likely the roles
Well,
that
it
they
gets
will
more
be
and more
playing.
real, doesn't it? So we start with match sim. We get a bit excited.
Yeah.
Oh, the intra-club,
The intra-club,
sorry.
you get-
Intra-club match sim.
Yep.
Community series. Round 0. Opening round.
Yes.
That's just next level excitement
Cheat
for that. But so we're at the second best preview we're going to get. So let's get excited.
So what do we look for in these? What are our main things? I'm going to just start it off then. We almost bounce around and see some things that we look for. Premiums don't matter too much to me because, as Cal Swanee says,
The great man, real good players don't practice, so they don't try very hard in the pre-season.
butchered that.
Yeah, no. That's his quote, though.
He made it sound so much cooler.
Basically,
than
good
that.
players don't try
No.
in the practice matches, which, I don't know, that might be a bit of a fallacy in a little bit because some do go out there and try. Some try
they have to.
in the match sim games. But, no, I don't think a premium player, you're either not picking them into your team or dropping them from your team based on what they do in this.
So if you had someone...
There are some things that can help you make your decision on that, though.
Yeah, for sure. But if you've got someone like Bond, if you're hell-bent on paying up and picking Bond, you're not going to put a line through him because he rolls around and has a 50 in this.
Agree, 100%.
What if he played a lot forward?
Get him out!
Oh, my goodness.
Get him out.
But that's probably the thing that we are looking at is what those roles look like, and especially for some of the midfield makeups. And we saw in that match sim, Andy Brayshaw spent a bit of time out on the wing, which could even be a good thing for him just to get more of that outside ball. But they're the things that are going to give us the question marks and not make you feel as locked in on a player.
One thing we can't get too excited about because we might see someone jump in and get, a huge bump in CBAs up to like 70%. But then you got to ask yourself, who wasn't there? That he's going to walk straight into the 22 when it comes to business.
You need to tell yourself the story or not make the story up, but work out why did this happen?
Yes.
Did this happen because this is what it's going to look like this year? Or did this happen because, old mate was sitting on the pine having a pie with us in the stands?
Well, that's true.
Or it's just what things look like.
The problem is,
for that
too,
game.
here, you got to stay strong with that because I can tell myself anything just to make it fit my team. But let's just watch with... I don't know, an open mind this preseason.
An open mind?
Well, this series just has a history of ruining my team.
Yep.
I go into it with a nice balance, common sense team. I can tend to watch the community series and totally stuff
For
everything.
every Errol Goulden, there's a Jordan Clark.
There is.
Although this year, Calvin.
Hey.
Jordan Clark
You've got me really interested in
We're
him.
also, Cal, looking at the best 22, so you actually start scratching down who you have in your best 22, don't you?
I
off the back of these games?
I do. I'm a fanatic about best 22s, Roy.
You're so good at it.
But it's
too.
also your rookie watch on those guys as well. So which rookies are in the best 22 on field actually getting some games?
which rookies are actually just coming on after half time.
Yes. with a pie.
With the pie.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
And that's it. Bit of time on ground. So that's the thing. You can follow all the stats live on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. And included in those will be those centre bounces and the kick-ins, but obviously just the simple stats and your fantasy scores, which is what we do want to see. Probably the best thing in that, or the thing that you should look at, and this is probably this watching AAMI Community Series 101 that this podcast is all about, really, is that time on ground percentage is important because some players might just be given a little bit of a run, whatever they need to. Those premiums, ticking those legs over, and you go, Bont has that 50, but he did it in 40% time on ground. That's the type of stuff that we do really look at.
Very relevant. We need to keep an eye on it, dog.
So you can watch them, and you can also listen to them as well, including the best one of all will be Hawthorn and the Western Bulldogs on Saturday night. So make sure you are tuning into our fantasy call. We won't call it commentary.
It's not commentary.
No.
It's fantasy commentary.
You asked for it and you got it.
Yes.
That's directed at the one person that did want it.
Thanks, Mum.
So that will be there. All right, let's go and talk about the games that starts Tuesday, the 27th of February. That is Collingwood and Richmond at Icon Park, 6:40 p.m. What are we watching? Cal, give me your first one.
Finlay Macrae.
Oh, yes.
Big watch.
This is very important.
Because he'd be sitting probably F5, F6 for a lot of people at the moment. So fingers crossed he actually gets some CBAs and a little bit of time.
Because my faith dipped a lot.
Yeah.
He started well in that match sim, but there's a
Roll
lot
was
missing.
there.
And so he's going to be important. And it's going to be, like we said there before, the players that aren't there, who might be missing that might bump his time. But my risk with him is where he sits. Is he 23 or is he 22? That's a concern.
It is a huge concern because he was given every opportunity with people missing in the match sim.
Yeah.
Roll was there. Scoring wasn't.
Roy, who are you watching?
I can't help but keep an eye on Dacos. Yeah. Like, that guy, I don't want to pick him. I don't want to pick him because he's the most expensive on the line. There could be 2 tags leading up to his buy.
Yep.
But he's also that good that I'm going to watch and be reminded that he needs to be in at some stage.
Is he still a chance
might as well start with him.
to start in your team?
20% chance.
Does a bit come down to opening round and what he scores there?
Yeah. If he really pumps a big one, it might force my hand. But at this stage, it's only 20% chance. But goodness me.
Now, both of these teams have an opening bye, so it is pretty tricky with our selections of these guys. Like, Richmond really don't have anyone that I'm looking at, except maybe Josh Gibcus. So, could be one of those cheap defenders if we need to. Like, he's probably, that 3rd or 4th in line that I'm looking at the moment as my rookie defender on the bench. And,
it's a bit of a rookie crisis back there.
There is. Well, and like
ones that you're confident on. That's the thing. And what they might score.
Yeah, we need to be keeping a close eye on them. There's a group of what you reckon? 5, 6 of them.
Yeah.
And they're all vying for.
And there probably isn't any that you're locking.
There's
either.
no scoring potential amongst them. But which ones are going to be playing?
There's a few cheap ones as well. Reef McInnes is another one for Collingwood that you might be having a little bit of a look at. But then again, the forward line, there's quite a few players that we've probably got there. And Reef's going to play up forward. He's not going to get sort of the mid-clock or anything like that to make that.
Keep an eye on him.
Work for you. All right, next one is Wednesday night, and that is the 28th of February. That is Carlton up against Melbourne. Also at Icon Park, 6:40 start. Nice, sensible start.
It's a great time to start
6:40s.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, Roy, tell me who you'll be watching if he's there.
He won't be there, but I hope he is, but I doubt he will be. Zac Williams is one that we all need to watch if he plays. Now, I don't think he's going to play, and I was reading a few reports yesterday about how he's tracking, and it just didn't sound like they'll roll him out for this. And if they do, it might not be for a big amount of time, which, I mean, that's obvious. That's something we need to be looking at because for a player that is locked in so many teams at the moment, we may need to rethink that. And you think about last year, someone at the price point, and he's even cheaper than Yo was last year, but Yo's someone we had sitting there. We were comfortable with our teams. Then he didn't make it to round 1, and the restructure is really tough. So we'll know if we need to have plans in place for that Zac Williams spot, I think, this week.
Yeah, now there's a couple there as well for the Blues that we might need to have a good look at and see what that forward line looks like, because, Roy, you've been on AAMI Fantasia as someone as an option there. But we also saw that Ashton Moyer could be getting a spot there. So if you were looking for those, the sub 300K, so you've got Moyer who actually comes in at 216. And then you obviously have your Orazio Fantasia. He's 269.
Well, Fanta's done it before, so he's averaged over 70 before. So for a rookie price, that would be a bargain. And the Destroyer, well, who knows what he's capable of. If he's playing, he'll be tempting.
Cow?
Clayton Oliver. For draft purposes here, for drafting.
Yeah.
A lot of drafts are starting to fire up at the moment. So Clayton Oliver, he played the other day, didn't he? Just a little bit of a...
Yeah, versus
back
popped in at the
game.
end, yes. It's like the Indonesia game last night, Roy, against the Boomers. So he came on and played against a team like that.
Yes.
But yeah, whether or not he's going to be right to go and how much clock he's going to get.
Again, these two teams have an early bye, so that's something that we need to consider with that. But would you say that Oliver, where would you take him, though, in draft, Cow, at the moment?
I'm still first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he can go in the first 7 or 8 picks still.
Really?
Yes. I'm backing him in.
I'm not doing that.
I'm backing him in.
No way I'm taking him in a top 8 pick at the moment. There's just too much uncertainty.
And there's other guys there that you can be confident in, I guess.
Okay.
I think so. Now, Windsor looked great in that match sim. He's much bigger than I thought he was, and he was just running around, roaming out on a wing. The things I saw him do in the little bit of that game that I saw were very impressive. So he's one that I'm now going to watch much more closely, because he's in the mix for even a spot
on ground.
F6.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
I think he's every chance to get that wing spot, I reckon. So
I agree.
Obviously,
Well, they've lost numbers.
Oh, definitely.
So
that's it.
He's just jumped a couple of spots automatically.
You'd think so.
Yeah, we'll be watching a fair bit to see some of that makeup there. Like, even when you're talking draft, you're talking about Oliver there with that, but Petrarca, Viney, both players that are high on the radar with where they could go there as well. I reckon Viney's someone that could be a little bit under the radar.
100%. Yep. No, he killed it without Oliver last year, and he could be in for a sneaky big one.
All right, let's move along to Thursday. We've got 2 games. First one is Sydney versus Brisbane at the Blacktown International Sports Park. That's a 4:10 Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time start. And I guess the big ones will be watching those Swans and the new players. That's where we've been banging on a lot about this pre-season. So we'll say Grundy and Jordan, as simple as that. Grundy is an absolute lock for us.
Yes.
What he does in this doesn't really matter?
Does not matter.
Doesn't matter.
No.
No. Okay, so Grundy's there. What about Jordan? What do we need to see from him?
That's a great question.
It is. The role's going to be the big one for him. I think the wing's his.
Yeah, okay.
But I'd like for it to be ticked off.
Yeah. This is a thing with him. So he looked all right in match sim, but one thing we've flagged here to have a look at who's missing.
Yeah.
So they've got some players to come in from that match sim, including Taylor Adams.
So that's a third of these new players.
It feels like he's going to have a massive impact on... Well, there'll be a flow-on effect from him playing. Players like Jordan, and there's a lot of people looking at the next breakout as well, and Sheldrick, potential-wise, he should be right up high on that breakout radar. But these guys they've bought in, it feels like it's going to set him back a little bit. Like his points per minute are huge, but his time on ground is low. How is his time on ground and CBAs going to improve when they've got these guys in? So that's one thing I'll be looking at.
Yeah, that midfield makeup and how that works. Because that's like Jordan got some CBAs in that last game. But will that happen with Adams there, and if they're going to play what their full team looks like?
Is he still a vest risk? Because obviously he's cheap because of that.
I reckon he's locked into the 22, to be honest. That's where I'm feeling.
Goodness me, we don't actually have to see that much from him then.
No.
Because then that's the question. See, Adams and Jordan, we're all very mixed on our thoughts about them. So you're like Adams over Jordan.
Just because I've seen it before and I've seen it at the elite level, but the price, if the role's there for Jordan, you nearly have to go the cheaper one, don't you?
Is what it could all be about. Brisbane, before we finish up the Swans, Errol Goulden, is he a live chance to make your team?
I don't think
Goes against all the rules, doesn't he? early buy,
Yeah.
premium.
The problem is he's moving further and further up the roll on 22 by the week. So if it was a normal season, yes, he would be a walk-up for me. He's the right age. He's absolutely humming. But no, with that buy, I'm going to try to avoid.
Got him second round in our draft kit.
Oh,
and like
that's delicious,
I think he's
isn't it?
going to be a first rounder.
Oh, 100%.
Big time.
Especially coming off the back of what he might be doing in these games too, because he's going to have that nice inside-outside mix, I think, this year.
From memory, I bumped him up to 3 in the roll on 22.
Holy hat.
Yeah, that's how big I am.
Yeah.
Brisbane then, Kitty Coleman, is he still a chance to make your team?
Yes, he is.
Do you know what he is now?
Yes,
he's a late charger for me.
Yep, agree.
Do you know what it's based on as well?
What?
Zac Williams.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want 2 defenders
No.
on that buy, round 2. Now, Williams, similar to that last scenario we had with Jordan and Adams, I was like, oh, well, I'll split them by taking the cheaper one.
Yeah.
If there is no Williams, Kitty's definitely in the mix for me because he's one of the genuine bargains.
Yeah.
And we haven't been talking about him probably a little bit because of Williams, and I think he's so underpriced it's not funny.
Yeah, he's priced at 70.
Yeah. What I think he can go 90.
Agree.
That's well and truly enough.
Lines are interesting because I think he's probably the only classic option. Those couple of cheap ones, we're almost putting a line through them with such, like Dev Robertson with that wrist and where that is.
Yeah.
I was keen on checking out Kyle Lohman to see where he might be at, but he didn't play until later in that game last week. So, they're going to be tough, but obviously they will be very draft relevant. You know, you've got guys like Hugh McCluggage. Is he going to get the midfield time, the centre bounce time, which makes him better than the 90 that his average is next to him when he went at 100 when Ashcroft was out. Those sort of things are the ones that we'll be looking at in that. There's 2 games on the Thursday, Feb 29. Leap year, boys. GWS v Gold Coast. That's happening at Manuka Oval. 7:10 p.m. start for that one. Right, where are we looking? Cow, who have you got your eyes on in this game?
Sexy back.
Oh,
Roy.
that's where
Alex-
your eyes are locked. You won't be able to take your eyes off him.
Alex Sexton played off the halfback
Yes.
in the match sim.
Yep.
The role is there. It's
Yeah.
100% happening.
Yep. They looked for him.
Yep. And at times, he looked like he was a little bit thirsty back there.
He did. So this is the thing with that. So, of course, we've got to keep an eye on scoring potential. But what if he comes out, the role is definitely there for him, but he has a bit of a quiet night?
At that price,
I know.
380.
But then I start getting flashbacks to last year.
Because the job security is going to be the thing.
That's the
for him.
thing. He doesn't have to do much to hold that position.
He's been likened to the Charlie Constable of last
This
year.
is my flashbacks.
Yes.
He had kick-ins, though. I think they like the ball in his hands a bit more.
Yeah, so do I.
He's got a confident mo.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. Yes, but that is one we
And
watch
he's done
very
his time
closely.
pretty well, too. That's the other side of it. Like, it's not like he's
Certainly has.
played a lot of footy. Well,
Yeah.
when I say a lot, like he's been in the system for quite a long time.
He certainly has.
It just hasn't done that role.
No.
He's, 90% chance to make our teams?
Yeah, definitely. If he's in, he's in.
He's in.
That's a big one there because I guess Buderick's the other one to watch in that to see what they end up doing with that half back line and what that'll look like. And yeah, if Sexy Back's the one that's going to get the kick-ins, that's the thing that'll
too
be the
cheap
icing
not
on
to.
icing on the cake for that, I reckon.
Yeah.
Other sons that we might be looking at, Flanders, do we even need to see any more from him? Do we just want to see that rotation is pretty tight? There's 4 bananas in there.
There is.
We've said
I guess
before,
that's
though,
all we have to see.
He doesn't need
No.
CBAs.
No.
He can score without
But you
them.
want him to be having that role where they want him up the ground
Yes.
in the midfield. You
Yes.
don't want him to play
So we
like
want
as
him-
a bad half forward. You want him to be a good half forward.
So high half forward
Yeah.
role. We want him pushing up to stoppage, etc.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've got, what are they, around 3 by. So that is also the thing that is a concern with picking any of those premiums. And I think we talked about that on the last podcast with Flanders, is that he is someone that almost breaks the rules or the
Yeah.
moulds on that in the sense that he's cheap
So
as that premium.
And a lot of people don't have this rule for themselves, but I'll just, if you're new to our little rule here, it's just we're not paying up for an Uber premium who has an early buy.
Yep.
That's what we're trying to do. Now, others are backing in these premiums and say you'll get burnt by not having him. And I like that play as well. It's very attacking. But that's what we didn't want to pick anyone over, what was it, about 800,000 that has that early buy. But Flanders, he's our exception because we see him potentially 10 to 15 points better than the next forward. So that's why he gets an asterisk.
Agree.
For our rule.
Yeah, so GWS, Tom Green we love, and if it was a normal season, I reckon I'd be starting him this year because of the love and what he can do. But I don't know, is there any world that he could end up starting in our team based on what he does in this game and then also in round 0?
He could be asterisk number 2 because he's that good.
Yes, he is.
So I've got him ranked number 2 in the roll on 22 midfielders, and we are obviously going to be reminded why this weekend and then in opening round because, gosh, if he comes out and pushes, does a 130 or something, which he's more than capable in that round, that could become the second asterisk.
A couple of rookies, I guess we can monitor and watch. Darcy Jones, if he gets a run there. Also, Aaron Cadman is still even in play.
He kicked 4 last week.
He snags, so I don't know.
He can do
There's
that.
obviously upside, but he's a key forward, and that's our massive issue. But at a rookie price, because he is super cheap, like he's at 221. Like it's not like
he's locked in to the
even
best
a
22.
real high-end rookie price player, someone there. And then draft, we're just seeing how our players will look there because you're still going to be taking those. When we go into draft, I'm not really factoring buys into anything in my projections. It might be a toss of the coin thing, but
I'm not worried about it either. A funny one here for the Giants, and we haven't spoken about him much because of obviously that early buy, but like Lockie Whitfield, I've got him sitting real high in the roll on 22 defenders as well. Another one that we would have considered starting with. I reckon you would, Dog, because you're a big Whitfield fan, so he's going to average triple figures. But yes, just one that's not probably doing enough to break the rule.
Let's go to Friday now, and we've got rid of all of those teams with early buys. So all of these are more in play for us to look at. Geelong and Essendon are playing at GMHBA Stadium, 5:10 p.m. on Friday afternoon, evening. Rightio. There's a few players here worth looking at. I'll be watching 24 or however many named of the Bombers and getting ready for September action.
Again.
But where are we looking to begin with, Cow?
Tom Stewart is going to be one for me, Dog. He could come out here and actually have a big one.
Okay, Tom Stewart. He's very interesting. I don't know. He's had a free ride for me since the game opened.
Yeah.
Things I usually factor in are age. He doesn't tick that box.
No. I just think he's got a great draw early.
Yeah.
Scale of hardness says yes. And I reckon he's going to come out and have a big one here.
So he should, and we've said this multiple times though, this should be the year he averages 100.
Yes.
But we've said that 3 years, I reckon.
Yep.
And it's never happened. Is this the year it happens? Because realistically, he never locks himself into the top 6.
Well, he would have done last year if he didn't get injured on 14.
Correct.
Yeah, he would have got
But he finds a way.
Yeah,
That's how he found his way that time.
Yep. The other one I really want to have a look at in this one is my boy, Conway.
Well, if he can say goodbye to the big fella.
Look,
so
old Reese, right? And I'm going to say old Reese in a very nice way.
Yeah.
Because old mate Reese, he turns like 35 this year.
Yeah.
Conway is the next thing, right? Give him a game. He's so cheap. 316 as your R3.
If he is the solo ruck, then we're picking him at R3, aren't we?
Well, this is a problem I have with that. We've got to somehow scrape together 100,000.
I know.
That's a fair shuffle.
It is.
Plus, you're kissing goodbye a chance at 2 shots at a captain too.
Yes.
If you do that.
Oh.
So I don't even know if I want to see Conway. Give Stanley one more chance to have a breakout year.
The captain thing's interesting. The loophole in that, though, is that you can probably make some decisions with the rolling lockout in round 1 about whether you do that or not. But then remember, we've got 4 of the next 5 rounds bye rounds.
Yes.
So you're going to
have one.
Most likely have someone there that you can make your VC if you need to.
Very true. Very true.
Right. Who else have we got in that one? Let's. Manor, is he going to get a game? Jai Clark's probably the real rookie in play for the Cats.
Yeah. I haven't given up on Manor. I reckon they're just prepping him for a round 1 start. They don't draft someone 25 to put a few years into them until they're ready.
They do.
That's a very good point. But no, I think he's got to be playing. But yes, Clark, I have a lot of faith in.
Especially with Guthrie going down as well. So interesting to see what they do there.
They're both in the mix, surely.
Yes.
But from the Bombers, Dog,
well, we've
I
got to be
never,
watching this.
ever get excited about anyone from the Bombers. But Nick Martin playing half back, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like he's absolutely built for that role. I think he's going to be brilliant at it.
Yep.
And I think he's taking his average to triple figures, which it's hard because he's clogging up a midfield spot, but only for 6 weeks.
Yep.
I'm really big on that. I don't know what I have to see. I just think I need to see him mopping up back there, taking a couple of kick-ins, 5 or 6 marks would be nice. And he's locked and loaded in my team if I see that.
Yeah, we'll get ready for that DPP after round 6 because that's what you're picking him for, which is also then interesting for draft, which is what mostly a lot of the Bombers are all about, really, because there's the guys with the forward status. You've got your Sardis.
Yes.
You've got your Caldwells. Archie Perkins, if he ever
When
becomes
is
a
Archie
fantasy
gonna
guy
do
one
something?
day. But those guys, like you are going to be drafting them.
Yeah.
But where you get them, but how you... They're probably one of the hardest teams to rank with all of that stuff because there's a lot of mouths to feed at the Bombers because it's a massive bunch of bananas that want to play in that midfield.
It's easy to rank them when it comes to ladder position, but not fantasy.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Other Bombers, probably not. We'll see how they go. Port Adelaide and Fremantle play at Alberton Oval, 7:30. That's Adelaide time on the Friday night. We'll just see. They're all big dogs, Butters and Rosie. You've got both, Roy.
I do.
Do you think that you could come out of this game not having one of them or both of them or something?
Yeah, I could. So the obvious fear, and we said it since we picked them, I think you have gone the combo too, haven't you, at the moment, Cal? The obvious worry is that they are both great forward. There was talk of them looking tired in the second final last year after they'd played bulk mid-time the second half of the year.
So they had a fair bit of time to recover from that, though.
They have. They don't want to fall into the same trap twice, is what I'm saying. Right. So that's why, along with their off-season work, Wines has been thrown back in the guts.
Yes. Yeah.
So realistically, he's one that we need to be watching as well because he had an awful year last year playing out on the wing, 20 points less than what he'd done the previous year, and about 30 points less than the year he'd done before that. But I'm not really interested in Wines. I'm more interested in the effect that has on Rosie and Butters. If one of them sat forward for way too long and wasn't playing that high half forward role when they were forward, I would have slight concerns. But those two have a serious thirst for the ball.
They do.
Wherever they are.
So you said you're not interested in Wines. Is he no chance to make your team?
Well, I think I wouldn't try to talk other people out of him because I think he's a great pick. But at the moment, if I had to rank the likes of Matt Crouch, Nick Martin and Wines, who are all in that price bracket, I have him third.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, right. Any other Port Adelaide players? Let's think. Sin. We'll see if he's any
Sin
chance to be there.
Sinny could play his way into my team.
Yeah.
On the back of
Well,
a
he
good
needs
one
to play
here.
his way into Port Adelaide's
That
team.
would
I'm
help.
feeling,
Yes. That would
because
help.
He was not used until later, after dominating a lot of the intra clubs as well. So that was
He might have just
he's
had
been
the
talked
runs
up
or
a fair
something.
bit.
The Port Adelaide ruck set up as well.
Yes. Yeah, good
Interested
point.
how that looks.
Well, I think it's Soldo.
I think it is too.
I think that's where it is, and I don't think they're playing 2.
No.
If they did play 2, and that's what they look like they're going in with, is Sweet still a chance for your team if they played 2?
Yes. No. I'm putting a line through it.
As for the Dockers, I have so many Freo people in my team at the moment.
Do you?
Yes.
Heave-o.
Like
are you
never
doing?
pick a Docker, and I've got them all.
Yeah, I've got it maybe two.
So we've got Hayden Young.
Yes.
We've got
So Hayden Young, we just want to see midfield time, maybe a bit more prolonged than what it was.
Oh, yeah. So their willingness to throw him back for the second half the other
But
week.
he still scores all right there. That's the thing. It's not like it's a massive deal breaker.
No. But is he worth picking if he's doing that?
Yeah.
in the midfield, Sarong, Brayshaw, right? But we need to be watching Fyfe.
We certainly do. I liked what I
Because-
saw the other day.
Yes.
People were quite critical. Handball happy. That's not a big enough score for that many possessions.
Watch for roll.
Ceiling
Yes.
issues. But what are you talking about?
491,000 as a forward,
So that's priced at.
priced at an average of 54.
And we're talking about ceiling?
What?
We're going.
We're talking about ceiling, man.
That role has 20 points upside, even if you are handball happy.
Yes.
That's the thing, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
If he's getting the pill 20 times in a half, I don't care. Goodness me. Handball it every time for all I care.
So there's another docker I've got. And then I've got my mate JC.
Yeah.
JC back there, Geordie Clark.
You did something to me there. Oh. You put him in my team.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Thing is, though, the matchup isn't good for JC playing against Port Adelaide. So he might not have a 120 that I think he's going to get every single week. He might have an 80, right? And that's going to be fine. I'll be happy with that.
Will you be happy if he's really quiet? Would you be happy or scared with the 60?
No, you'll be scared.
A little bit of both.
You'll be scared. You'll be very scared, I reckon.
That's the fine line with this
I know.
community series.
Yes.
You want to see enough, but not too much.
Not too much.
The Freo,
Not too
my
little.
biggest worry about them is how stacked their midfield is looking these days and
Yeah.
what that's going to mean for everyone, and that's coming to draft rankings. But also, we saw our mate Sharpie, Jeremy Sharp, who was a new recruit there. He was a late out with illness. So there's a big part of that where I'm just hoping he, because that for some players, if you miss a game, you might be on the outer.
Yeah, he had a tummy bug. He had a tummy bug.
I'm hoping
Bad
that he just
timing, though.
comes in and he dominates, and he'll still be, as Shmooky told us earlier in the preseason, and we keep hearing, he's probably one of the first ones picked in the team for that wing spot.
the wing, yes.
So he should be picked for that. So let's fingers crossed.
We need him to be better.
We do, because I want him. At the moment, you guys have both got him on your pine, don't you?
Yes.
See, I've been bullish enough to think that he could be the M8 to go to 3 guys, but I think structure's going to change up a little bit for a lot of teams, where we might just go those two rookies on field in the midfield.
I've seen a lot of teams popping up on the socials, and it's definitely flicking between the two rookies and the 3 rookies in the midfield. And usually I see a far more consistent trend. I've seen a real split between those two.
Which
so
is
far
good.
This preseason.
Which is good.
Let's move to Saturday, and it's Adelaide and West Coast at Hisense Stadium. That's a 2:40 Adelaide start, so 3:10. No, what is it? Yeah, 3:10 for us over here. Right, we're looking at a few Crows. What that midfield looks like, I'm going to say their 3 main bananas are, of course, Dawson, Laird, and Matt Crouch. We did see our sprinkling, who actually got plenty of it, is Rankine as well. So we want it probably to be that tight 4.
We do. And it looks like that's how it's going to be.
Well,
when we
hopefully
spoke
a
to
tight 3, to be honest.
Yeah, well, when we spoke to Lairdy a few weeks ago, he said there's a lot that can run through, but he did name up those 3 big ones.
Yep.
And we always hear about injecting some speed into the midfield, and that looks like that's going to be Rankine as the 4th.
Yep.
Nani.
Yep.
Will be. So that's big for draft as well.
It is.
Of where he could end up being, because, we've got our Rochelle's there that we're all sort of having to think about what that all looks like in those, around about the 20th pick and so. That might be where you're looking for those of your forwards, that is.
Daniel Curtin's another one that we need to keep an eye on.
We need to see him play a full game, really.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine.
And this is where it would happen. Like, he did get limited game time last game, but they've got a fortnight until they play. So these teams that we're talking about now, they've got a whole week. That's where those earlier teams in the week, and that's why they're playing early in the week, just for scheduling. That's the smarts of that.
It's a good idea.
They are playing next week, like the week after. So these guys have got a weekend off between.
Yeah.
So you'd think that these teams should play pretty full.
Quite hard.
Yeah, pretty full strength, and maybe for longer than the other teams. That's my sports science idea of it. Got no idea.
Correct.
Hingy Cow, you'll be checking out. Is he any chance to make your team?
He's not, but he's priced at a 75.
And you think he can go 90 plus, because that's what he did
Yes.
when Duday went down.
But
wasn't it?
basically, that position is between old JC and Hingy.
Yeah.
So
I have a little more faith in JC at the moment, because I'm a Hingy fan as well. But I think he's going to be called upon to play more defensive roles more often.
that's
That's
what
my
Lairdy
fear
was
with-
sort of saying, wasn't he?
Yep, that's what channeled me into that fear.
Now, for the Eagles, Harley Reid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we need to see from him after last week?
Get your hands on the pill, big fella.
What was he doing?
I don't think
out
there was
there?
any issue with the role. And this is something we
There
talk
wasn't.
about.
It's a good
Role was
role.
fine.
The role was
Don't worry
fine.
about the stats, but do we just need to see some more stats?
I need to see a little bit.
Some stats.
Like, what did he score? 28 or something? I needed to see it a 50 or something.
Maybe the statisticians got it wrong.
Possibly.
Every chance they
The
did.
camera angles weren't great.
No,
Was
he
a
just
tree
did-
blocking him?
He did look quiet, so I reckon, it's going to be nice to see him in this one. And who knows? It was his first time playing for not against his own teammates.
Yeah,
so, that
so
might
his
have-
confidence were high. He had a false sense of...
so we'll see how that goes. Crows will be a pretty big thing. Yowie, I don't think we need to see anything.
Just
apart
don't
from
overplay him.
injured.
Yeah,
Don't
don't get
overplay him.
injured. Take it
Let
easy,
him have
mate.
it 1 or 2 quarters.
Just have him
Put him
primed
on
to
ice.
at least get through the first 6 weeks for us, at least.
I am
12 would be
so
nice.
excited for that guy because he, after a horrific run, it looks like he's getting, touch wood, a run at it. And he'll remind everyone that he's a beast, that guy. So, yeah, fingers crossed he gets through.
Saturday night, so that's a 6:10 start for Hawthorn and the Western Bulldogs here at UTAS Stadium. Right, what are we looking at?
Bond?
Well,
Are we?
we're not, but what is the only thing that could turn people off that are starting with him?
If he's just spending too much time forward.
Too much on forward. So he was like an 80% CBA guy.
The most out
last
of the
year.
Bulldogs.
The most out of the Dogs, and it would have been up there competition-wise.
Yes.
Because that was his role. And that was a big difference. That was a big increase from previous years, and that's half the reason he had such a massive breakout.
Yeah.
If you just don't know with Bevo,
No.
if that role changes back for some unknown reason, you'd have concerns.
Yes.
Surely it doesn't happen. He was the best player in the comp last year.
Agree.
So surely that doesn't happen. But it doesn't hurt to keep an eye on. Now, for enjoyment purposes only, we're going to watch Riley Sanders rack up.
Yes.
And just little piglet. So that'll be good to watch. Harmsy.
Yeah.
Now, we've spoken about him a fair bit this preseason, but especially in draft,
Yeah.
when you're ranked in order of averages, he is so far down, it's ridiculous. He's come across to the Dogs. He got midfield clocked the other day, CBAs, and he clocked up a ton. Now, if he can look busy and the role is there again,
It can happen.
is he relevant in both games, given the thin forward line? He's semi-interestingly priced.
Yeah.
So he's priced at a 71, which puts him at 637.
You'd want him to really be pushing
He can,
towards 90.
he can only do 80, can't he?
Yeah.
The best role he could possibly get at the Dogs provides him with an 80, doesn't it, when they're full strength?
I think so.
So he's just a draft watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs, just seeing what they do with a lot of stuff, draft thinking, what do those half backs look like, who are they? Because I heard that Dale was even playing some forward, training forward
really?
and stuff. So, but I want to see them. But who knows? After what Bevo did last week with playing, English and Bont in that second game and stuff like that, like hope he takes this seriously enough for us to look at it and see what happens.
Good point. We're not actually looking at a thing from the Bulldogs at all.
Hawks are going to be interesting in a few things. That midfield, because there's Will Day's out for a bit. Who is it? We were all a little bit excited about McDonald, but it looks like Mackenzie and Hustwaite were the guys that were really getting some clock in there. What does Finn McGuinness do? Is he a real live look at playing? Are they going to just pinch hit him in those games where they've got the big mid they want to shut down? But if it's a game where they don't really necessarily need that, see you later, go and play some Box Hill Hawks.
He did that last year, out here. So
I'll be watching Carl Amon's
Carl.
thirst for the halfback mark. If he is playing a high marking game across that halfback line, he could do anything this year. My fear for him, and this is what I'll be watching, how often he has to push up on a wing. Because if he is permanently working in that halfback role, very limited wing time, he is going to be huge and another triple figure average guy this year.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching that like a hawk.
Nice.
Looking forward to calling this game and checking it all out from our own eyes. And I don't know, are we going to get tricked into anything like that Dacos bloody move last week when we were watching that live? That was a really tough thing.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Will we trick into something?
yeah, hopefully you tune in. You can do that via afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. You'll be able to listen in, sync it up with your TV and be able to watch us and listen. Watch us. Watch the footy.
Game. Yep.
And listen to us.
Perfect.
Anyway, and the final game.
What a dream.
The final game of our AAMI Community Series is on Sunday. It's at 2:10 p.m. That is North Melbourne and St Kilda. This is happening at RSCA Park. North Melbourne, North Ball.
No. Correct term, please. Who's going to say it?
I can't say it.
It's Roo Nuts now.
Right. Okay. So we're looking at them. Nothing's going to change my mind about Macrae.
No.
Sheezel, it's still a
You
bit
guys
of
are
money
warming.
that you're paying.
You're
Warming
warming
to
though,
him.
aren't you?
I just don't think I can squeeze him in. I'd love to have him in there.
Because he's genuine gun.
yeah.
I can't believe you're not learning from Dacos last year. This is seriously 2.0.
I know.
Just an
Okay.
absolute magnet jet in the same role. They've said he's going to start the year there at least. And what, worst case scenario, he gets put in more midfield time.
Yep.
That's no disaster because he's very good. So I think you're overthinking.
You're probably right.
Anyway, see how he looks. The one we need to look at, Fisher's back in play.
Yes.
Now, he had those 2 hamstring interruptions a while back, but they played a half. They gave him a half in the match sim last week, and he racked up near 50 fantasy points in that half. The forward line doesn't look any prettier at the moment than it did when we first opened the game. He's a handy price if we could throw him in. What do we need to see from the Fish?
Just that role. He just needs to have that role.
He does.
Yeah.
And then
we're locked.
we could end up with a heap of Roo Nuts in our team because there's a couple of others to be watching. Ex-Eri, Big Cherry,
Yep.
he's locked for you and I.
Yes.
He'll be locked for dog by the end of his season.
The thing is, though, so he's going up against Rowan Marshall.
Yeah.
He's not going to have it. He's not going against Calcombe and Jones or anymore,
No.
whoever those blokes
She's
are.
a true test for the big fella,
Straight out of Compton. He's
Yeah.
not going against his
No.
teammates. So it's going to be hard for him.
which is perfect
Yes.
that we get to see him in a good matchup.
Yes.
And he will not disappoint.
No.
Davies Uniac's a popular one.
He is.
Yeah.
What would
I
you
like
have to
him.
see from him? One, not pulling out at the very last minute will be a great start. But apart from that,
I don't want to be talked out of him in a way. Like,
Yeah.
I want to just see that everything is okay. Like, I don't want any questions, which is probably what I need, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's almost been a bit of a walk-up start for me.
so he'll come out, he'll get his 24 touches, 6 marks, 4 tackles. That's enough?
Don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be an
Because
interesting
he's underpriced, isn't he?
discussion next week.
Ward-
Yeah, well, for what he
Wardlaw's-
can do.
Wardlaw's the other one as well. Like, he's
Yeah.
mega underpriced,
Wardlaw's
breakout season.
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people are interested in him.
Yeah.
For the Saints,
Oh, just a couple there. We've
Oh,
got
yes.
those cheap ones. We've got... Do you know I dreamt about Toby Pink last night?
Oh.
you lucky man.
I was at a pub and he was there with
Where
someone
is
else.
this
And I don't know
going?
who that was.
Yeah.
But
You
he
were
was
watching
a player. And we were there and he started talking. Then I asked him about, should I pick you? And he goes, I'm not going to score much, but I'll play every week. So is that enough?
Ward Dog had a vision.
That's enough.
That's enough.
I'm going to change my team again. He's in on that.
Dog.
Well,
Have you talked about Lazaro?
no. Cal's trying to get rid of these Roos at the moment. Lazaro, he'll
So
be a
many
watch.
roos.
There
You
is.
got to see what he's doing.
Now, I had a dream last night.
Oh, yes.
Can't share that one.
Who was it about, though?
Lazaro.
Colby again.
Lazaro
We all went
is
out for tea.
definitely one that we need to
We do.
watch because at 288k as a forward.
How many roos are too many roos?
Don't know. I don't think it matters at their prices. And
I know, that's the
That's the
thing.
thing.
That's because, yep,
they're
they're going
not
to get...
staying in your team all year. That's one thing you remember.
That's true.
No, and there's going to be times where
No
they
early buy.
start the game with the Roo Nut plan,
Yep.
but they're going to have to, like, put the handbrake on and damage control from
Yep.
time to time.
Yep.
And that's when all those boys are going to be well and truly still in play, despite not being as attacking.
All right, now the Saints, Cow.
Because I want to see. He came into my team last night, and it's the Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and we had a bad relationship last year.
Yes.
Right,
Yep.
He's been in my team the whole time.
But-
it's taken you a while.
he is a handsome man.
That's the issue.
He looks good.
He popped into my dream.
Unfortunately, all we have to see from him is literally him.
Yes.
You just see
So-
him and he's in.
Yeah, hopefully he
Look,
comes out.
okay, on a serious note, it appears that he is back.
Yep.
Reports from training, watching him last week. Eye test is big with Jack
Oh,
Steele
mega.
because you can see if he's, close to 100% or not. The two key indicators with Jack Steele as a previous owner, and you would relate to this, Cow, is he running back for the ball, calling for it, wanting marks, or is he doing a gaff like jog to the next contest?
Yeah.
That's a big thing with him.
Yep.
Also, thirst for a tackle.
Yes.
If his shoulder isn't 100%, you see him borderline avoiding tackles.
Yep.
If he's feeling good, you do not want to pick up the ball
No.
anywhere near Man of Steel.
Yep.
So there'll be two things that I'm watching.
Wanganeen Millera, where are we sitting with him at the moment?
Gun.
Yeah, I like him, but is he too expensive? Like, is he just sort of price up the top?
I think he's going to put a few points on
Agree.
his average.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Jack Sinclair watch as well. Like, it's not hugely relevant because he's only going to, if he misses any, it'd only be 1 or 2 weeks. But does Wanganeen Millera become a little bit better still without Jack Sinclair?
Yeah, okay.
That's an interesting one.
Sinclair probably still plays round 1, they reckon.
Do they?
So,
Yeah. And that's, you wouldn't rule Wanganeen out based on that because he plays well
yeah.
with him as well. But I think I've just given that spot to like the Shees.
Yeah, okay.
But man, I love him.
Rookie Darcy Wilson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
He looks like he could have that wing
Yes.
spot, so that's one that.
We'll be locking that in, I reckon.
Well, yeah, another team that doesn't have a bye.
Yeah. All we have to see from him is rolling out there,
Geez,
looking
we could
very
be loading
solid.
up with a lot of rookies in that forward line.
Yes.
We honestly could be. We could be going 3 or 4
Yeah.
guys that we call rookie price.
Yeah. I agree. And that's fine. It's
Yes.
just a different balance to what we used to.
Which would then obviously bring that that in play of the only 2 in the midfield, and we're not
Yes.
doing it in the back line because I don't think we can.
No.
So
No. No. Oh, Caulfield, that's someone we didn't mention. That's someone we'll be
yeah.
keeping a close
Of
eye on
course.
because he's rounding out our
and you will be
back
able to
lines.
hear all about that from the horse's mouths. That's our
Oh,
mouth.
that is.
On Saturday evening, so 6:10 p.m. That is the Hawthorn and Western Bulldogs AAMI Community Series game. That'll be live broadcast from Utah Stadium via afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. Make sure you stick with all those places to be checking out the live scores as we play with our teams over this next week.
Oh, yeah.
This is where they'll probably do a little bit more movement than normal because we do see stats. We do see better vision. Not a stream.
I don't know if it's possible for any more movement in my team, dog.
Well, as we talked about, Destroy, your team reveal probably did not.
Oh, yes.
It was real at one point of time, but that one point of time could have been that grain that went the sands through the hourglass.
Look, I don't care what anyone says. That was a bloody good team reveal.
Yeah. It
And
was.
it's respectful to the game, to beginners, to experienced players.
Yep.
You've got to look after everyone, and I did
you
that.
need to go and read some of the feedback I saw on social media about it.
I saw some of it.
How did it make you feel?
Oh, why are people so unkind?
All right, enjoy the AAMI Community Series. Thanks very much for tuning in. We'll be back with a big wrap of that after it, but also plenty of special stuff coming up on afl.com.au/fantasies where you can find all of our fantasy content.